What is your name and where are you from?
Well, I'm known to the community as Reverend Dr. Queen Mother Imakhu. I was born in Elizabeth, raised in Elizabeth and also in Kenilworth, New Jersey, and currently live in Roselle, New Jersey, which is also where the family homestead is, the house that my grandparents built. And however, I'm always here. I'm here in Newark all the time because of the fact that the temple is here. I represent the bridge to peace. I was initiated as a peacemaker when I became a water healer, or Nanga, in the Bantu tradition, and then also a Wajet in the Khametic healing tradition. And you're commissioned to be a bridge builder to peace. That's work that I've done my whole life anyway, because before I even became initiated back in, what year was that? In 06. My work as an artist was about trying to find commonalities, even in expressions of my Africanness. It inspired a lot of people who had different backgrounds to go and find out more about their own backgrounds. And the greatest thing, though, is the conversations that we would have about the commonalities that we share. So exposing people to other cultures is also a way of opening people's heads up so that they kind of step away from a lot of the preconceived notions that they may have had. Especially, I've had a following of folks from around the world. As an artist, I've always had a diverse following, and the conversations have always been the richest part of it. And I believe that in order to achieve peace, that we have to educate one another and learn to listen. So by using art as a means to build bridges to peace is a great joy for me. I'm a peacemaker. Well, a lot of people like to talk about the problems that we have in society and what bothers us, and certainly as a Black woman who came up through the 60s. I was born in 1960. And right here in New Jersey, where the N-word was still very prevalent, I heard it in kindergarten, fellow kindergartners calling me that. And then 20 years later, I'm a mom, and my daughter enters kindergarten, and she comes home and asks me, Mommy, what's a nigger? And so it was the same kind of thing happening. But I can also tell you that I grew up with the adults in my life were not afraid of just being themselves, and taught me pride, self-pride. But I also saw where they stretched themselves. My father was the first African-American who was accepted into the New Jersey Tool and Die Association back in the late 60s, early 70s. That's a big deal. He had his business over on William and Halsey Street for about 25 years. My mother was the first Black Girl Scout leader in Kenilworth. That was a big deal. And my grandparents had come from up north. They were sharecroppers, came up north, became business people, highly respected business people. And so the whole idea of not allowing yourself to be limited is what was communicated to me. The only limitation that I found was when I came up against people who did not look like me, who seemed to hold a certain power over me and told me, no, you can't. Like when I was in 7th grade, a teacher told me that I really had no business joining the drama club because after all, what future was there for me? I would just get roles as maids or whatever, so you set your sights on something else. But I didn't buy into what she said because I knew what my destiny was as an artist. And in fact, when I got to high school, I auditioned for the school play and was the only Black person that was in the cast. And, But what I'm getting at, though, is that I saw that in spite of the limitations imposed in society, that my family always said there's a way around it. And a lot of it had to do with their own sense of self-worth and dignity and making it happen. So, and I'm not saying that we're in a perfect society where that can happen, but by communicating to people that we are limitless, by showing that even though other people think that you can't, yes, you can do it. You know, when my grandparents opened up their bar and restaurant, they were in one location where the high school in Kenilworth now sits. Then they used eminent domain and decided to put the high school where my grandparents had their business. My grandfather found another place in a better location just down the street and around the corner. And there was a politician in town who said, "You will reopen your business over my dead body." And the day they reopened their business was on the day of his funeral because the man dropped dead of a heart attack. So, you know, the whole thing was they were like, "You're not going to tell me no. You're not going to tell me no," you know. But education was stressed, maybe because of the fact that they, I think my father, he didn't finish high school because he was working down on the family farm and until he came up north. With my grandfather, the same thing. But still, they became people of note. And I also noticed how they dealt with other folks who were outside of the community, you know. So being actively involved, because my mother was involved in activist groups and in the church and so forth. My uncle was the water commissioner here under Sharp James for a long time. You know, there's been a long history of activism. In fact, just 2 years ago, I found out that my ancestor is Billy Artis, who was a confidant to Nat Turner and was part of the rebellion, which explained everything to me about the activism spirit that I carry. He was a free man of color who was married to a woman who had been enslaved. And he was fighting not only for her, but for everyone, the right to be free. It could have been very easy for him to just be complacent and just say, "Well, I have my piece of freedom, that's all that matters." No. In order to affect change, that means you've got to put yourself out there in situations that are often uncomfortable to you, because somebody's got to be the way shower. Somebody's got to have courage. Somebody has got to demonstrate that in order to affect change, that you've got to take chances. Sharaym Shenu True Living Waters Temple, which was formerly Akheru Temple of the True Living Waters, is here for the community as a place of respite. In the Khametic language, or ancient Egyptian language, the name originally of Egypt was Kemet, meaning land of the blacks. Kabut is the word for a cool, refreshing sanctuary. This studio here, which I've turned into an art studio and then a yoga temple in there, is a safe zone for people who just want to drop in, sit, get their heads together, meditate, talk, have some tea, some coffee. You know, I try to keep some snacks here for folks. And also a little food pantry, because some people who come through here generally and genuinely are hungry, and trying to be discreet with that, because we feed a lot of people who are not like the average person that people have come to expect being hungry. These are folks who are white collar jobs, and who have to make the choice between going to work or eating that day. And, you know, or people who are on the system who carry themselves with dignity, but then they're not allowed to get this, and this because of the fact that they have too much self-respect and they look too nice. So they get denied services because of the fact that they're not coming in with their head bowed. And our primary principal and guardian here in the Khametic tradition is known as Khametic. And she is the one who satisfies the heart and who makes sure that no one goes hungry. So we feed people here from the emotional standpoint, because society is hard, you know, and just to have a place to just sit and just focus on just getting yourself back together, okay? That's important. To have a place where you know you can get a can of soup if you need it. Or I'm not rich, but if I, you know, we usually try to keep some extra money here for people if you know, do you need me to go buy you something, you know? And then also the spiritual component. Now, I should tell you, that even though this is a Khametic Parank or temple, that we are here for the community. This is not about trying to convert anybody. We have people from all walks of life that walk through this door. And it's just about communicating heart to heart, because we need one another. Ultimately, in what we believe and what we teach, it's about opening the heart and recognizing each other. The principles of Ma'at, or Ma'at as many people say, but it's Ma'at, are based on order, reciprocity, harmony, balance, justice, and above all, higher love and seeing one another. The root of that word is Ma'a, which means to see. In South Africa, it is common to say, I see you. And so when you are fully living in that place of Ma'at or Ma'at, then you're able to see one another. You see yourself. You're able to check yourself and see if you're living up to the best caliber that you can, because we are all interconnected and our actions impact upon one another. So if nothing else, when folks come through the door, no matter what their belief is, or even if they don't have beliefs, I have friends who are atheists and who are agnostics, who actually have been great benefactors to this space simply because they believe in the healing work that's happening here, and because it's an artist's haven, and also for anybody who walks in off the street. This is a safe zone, and they have, contributed a great deal to this space. But again, no matter who you are, if we're able to come in and find that heart-to-heart connection, to find that common place, to be able to have discussion about what's bugging you, or even, to celebrate your successes, that's a good thing. It's important to have a kind of an outlet to make sure that happens. And so that's why we're here. The other side of it, from a spiritual standpoint, if people do want to know more about, the spirituality that goes along with it, so that they can become better people, because, it's a wonderful way of being able to really put yourself in check and tap into that higher love at the same time. And through the yoga, the Khametic yoga that I teach, where it is about goal setting and accountability and opening up that place within yourself that helps to make miracles happen. If you're able to benefit from that, then that's here for you too. So this is basically a safe zone. The websites, which are artistic labors of love for me. I'm a bit of a tech, well, more than a bit. I'm a tech head, and also I'm an artist. And so being able to create the websites for this space, and also for everything else connected to it, including myself, is a joy. But you can visit www.Sharaym Shenu Temple. That's S as in Sam, HARAYMSHENU Temple, Sharaym Shenu Temple.info. Sharaym means peace and freedom. That's how we greet one another, Sharaym. It's where the words salam and also shalom came from. For Shenu Yoga, SHENU yoga.info. My personal website is Mother Imakhu.info. Imakhu is spelled IMAKHU. Mother Imakhu.info. And I've got my artist site, because that's my spiritual site. My artist site is Imakhu, which is IYAIMAKHU.info. And you can call 646-228-1185.